Hi Shelby, I'm
Hi,
Chelsea.
it's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. How's your day going?
It's good. For the most part. I'm in a little bit of a life crisis right now. This past week I broke my arm.
Oh no.
Yeah, I was riding down by the waterfront with one of my friends, and it was not like on the boardwalk. It was kind of a little bit north of the boardwalk, and it was a little rocky, and I had kind of slowed down and was going to like stop and stand up, and I just like fell over. And I was like, oh no, I'm fine. It's like no big deal. And then it just was really painful, and I rode my bike home, and then I like had taken a shower because it was kind of hot out, and I was laying on bed with like my arm resting on my stomach, and like breathing was really painful, and so I went to the emergency room and I fractured my right head.
That sounds terrible. I'm so sorry.
So it's more painful than I was expecting it to be, and I think it's been a struggle because I think like physically like I'm in a lot of pain, and it just like makes me really short-tempered around a lot of people. And I didn't realize, I mean, it's my left hand, and I'm right-handed, but I use both arms more than I expected.
Sounds awful, but just before we go any further, do you know anything about confidentiality?
I don't.
Well, basically everything that you say stays between you and I, unless you feel like you're in danger to someone or yourself. I'm also a new social worker, so I have an advisor that I talk to, supervisor, but I'll let you know if I tell him anything for this session.
Okay.
So tell me, how was the experience at the emergency room?
It was actually surprisingly easy. I feel like I've been to the emergency room before where I've been in the waiting room forever, but I walked in and they gave me a wristband, and I went through like triage like 5 minutes later, and then I had like a bed and like within 10 minutes being at the ER.
Wow.
It was really quick.
Well,
I don't know if it was a slow night, but it was really quick, and the friend that I was biking with also came with me to the ER, and they let him like come through and like be in my room with me, and like I had to get x-rays done, and they let him come like up to the room. He didn't come in with me to get x-rays, but he got to be with me the whole time, which was really comforting.
That's great. Sounds like you had good support.
Mm-hmm.
So, how have you coped with it? How are things now?
Well, I've been getting a lot of support from my roommate. She was out of town when it happened, but since she's been back, she's been really helpful with like helping do my dishes. And I think it's just like a day-to-day. I think mostly I'm just frustrated by it because I want it to be better, and it's not. And I think it's going to be like a slow healing process, so it's really just like a daily nuisance, I think.
Yeah, I can understand. How are you getting along school-wise, academically? Has this stopped you from?
It has. I think it's just like I said earlier, it's kind of a nuisance just because it's like hard to get around on campus and have a broken arm. It just adds like a little extra time to all these tasks you think would be easy, like packing my bag at end of class, or like, I don't know, just little things like that, getting ready in the morning. It just takes a little bit longer. So it's a little stressful to have that be an issue, but it's going okay.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you're frustrated, understandably.
Yeah, so my arm, that's kind of, I think, the biggest thing on my mind. I think it's one of those things also where, like, you don't think that physically things would take up that much mental space, but it's like something that's like constantly on my mind because it's just like a nuisance all day long. And also something else about like the arm thing that's like kind of frustrating is I live in an apartment with 2 other girls, and like paying for rent is sometimes an issue just because it's like hard to get enough money together to pay like by the deadline, and going to the ER like costs me some money, and then like paying for prescriptions. So, and they want me to go see a physical therapist now, and it's just like a lot of extra costs that I didn't expect that are building up. So, and it's hard too because my parents live in Massachusetts, so they live far away from me, so it's like I usually like rely on them for a lot of support, and I haven't been able to just because they're so far away.
Oh, sounds awful. So, have you received any help or support financially as to what you can do? How are you covering all your costs of your medications and making rent, or is that really short right now?
I think my rent's not due for a little bit still, so I think hopefully my paychecks will just come in time. It's just making it like tight in terms of like groceries. I think that I'm cutting some fun things out to help pay for my medical bills.
Well, priorities are first, so sometimes you gotta give up the little things that you like a lot. But it sounds like you're doing it and you're managing it well.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else on your mind?
Not too much. I think that has just been a big stressor just because it's something I didn't expect. And it's like not only painful, but it's kind of like a stressful thing because it's like all these phone calls back and forth and like trying to be in class and work and trying to get in touch with doctors and trying to plan the time to go see the physical therapist and just being like irritated about my arm. But otherwise it's okay. I think the daily grind of being a college student can be exhausting as well because I have 2 jobs and I'm taking 6 classes. But
Sounds like you're very overwhelmed, but you're definitely an achiever.
mm-hmm.
Are there any good things going on that you're excited about?
Let me think. Well, in 2 weekends I get to go home and see my parents, which is exciting. Gas money's gonna be kind of expensive, but I think it's a well worthwhile trip to go see them. So I'm really excited to visit them, and it will be for the 3-day weekend. So I get to see them for a good chunk of time. It'll be a good visit.
Well, it sounds like you need it. Some time off to be with the family after your arm. Yeah. Are you excited?
I am excited.
It's good. Time with family is good.
Mm-hmm.
So how are you dealing with the stress?
I think I have my weekends kind of free. I mean, it's important. That's the time I get a lot of homework done, but I think I've set aside time to just like visit with friends, and I think not thinking about like, oh, I need to do this in like 5 minutes, or I need to send this email. I think on the weekends, and just kind of let it be whatever. Like, it's okay for me to just spin, or like, you know, I don't have to think about like making meals for the day because I'm going to be campus all week long or anything like that. I can just be at home and be a little more relaxed. I think that is kind of a good time to de-stress.
It's definitely important when we're stressed to find time for ourselves and to be alone and just let it go.
Mm-hmm. I don't think so. I think I'm all set. Thank you.
You're welcome. It's great talking to you.